What's going on, guys? I have a super special videos for you guys today. I have my slightly dirty 2021 ZH2 here. A little bit of bug splatter. Give you guys a good pan here. All right. Video's done, guys. But anyway, I originally got this bike new to me. 2,000 miles on it. It's got 3,700 on it, I think. So roughly 2,000 miles I put on this. Rain, little bit of snow, and 80-degree weather now. So we'll start this guy up. She's warm, so don't yell at me. I got ZX 10R headers on here, into a mid to end SC project. If you're wondering why there's heat wrap only on half of it, that's because titanium and heat wrap don't get along too well. Tail tidy, bar end mirrors, spinner filter in it, stage 1 BT Moto handheld tune on it. She's putting around, I believe it's around 220 to the wheel. We just had a dynoed a couple weeks ago. If I'm smart enough, maybe I'll be able to put like the dyno sheet like right here or somewhere. That's if we're lucky. See if I can get another wave. Okay, I was late on that one. That one's my fault, actually. Oh, gravel. So the initial thing that you're going to notice, and everyone notices when they hop on this bike, is going to be the sheer weight of this bike. And that's actually probably one of its biggest cons. You know, I could pick apart, critique multiple things, but one of my biggest problems with this bike is it weighs minimum 100 pounds more than I believe any other competitor out there. I mean, your 1290, I believe, weighs around 480. This weighs in, I believe, around 540, 550, which is ridiculous compared to the V4 that we have in our stable, and it feels like a day and night different bike. Only thing that makes up for it is the amount of sheer power that this thing's putting down. Give you guys a quick snippet of that. Give you guys a second gear pull. So, absolutely ridiculous. That was more than second gear pull. My bad, guys. Let me adjust this real quick. So, you put this up against, you know, a V4 Street Fighter, 1290. That's generally going to be your biggest problem, which you guys saw. The wheelie control on this is meh at best, and that's truly its biggest downfall when you're doing rollers or anything else like that, is it just doesn't want to stay down. But that's the fun in this. It's mental. It's not meant to stay down. It doesn't want to stay down, and that's partially the reason why I bought this and why it's so sought after. But comes equipped from dealer with quick shifter up, auto blip down, which is fabulous. I've been through the whole Z family. I had a Z125 all the way up to a Z900, and if you're anything like me, before purchasing this, I truly thought that I was getting a Z900 just with a supercharger on it. There's not a whole lot of crazy in-depth reviews on these bikes, and that's because they're kind of hard to find. I waited about 3 years to find one that finally dropped off in my location at a perfect price point, and I'm so happy I have it now. One of the big changes that you're going to have from the Z900, like I said, is going to be the weight, which is number one. A plus is going to be that this seat is way wider. It's a lot comfier from the dealership, in my opinion, at least. And then also, I mean, even your passenger seat has a little bit more length to it. Not going to say it doesn't feel like cardboard anymore, but it has more length to it, a little bit more width. But to negate that, this bike has a little bit of a sharper lean angle onto it, which makes your passenger kind of feel like they're going to be sitting in your seat with you, which isn't necessarily a huge problem, but could obviously be fixed. Now, I think another largely asked question is, how practical is this bike? God, that straightaway is yummy, but I won't. Anyway, how practical is this bike for everyday use? This is my daily. I ride this as much as I possibly can. And really, after putting about 2,000 miles on this bike, it's almost easier to ride around town than a Z900 would be. Partially due to the quick shifter and everything else, I can have a more of a nonchalant ride if I want. But in comparison to, let's say, the R1 that we just had a review on, this doesn't really get angry at me if I'm roaming around in first gear at 2,000 RPMs. Right now, I'm sitting at 3,000 in sixth. It's not choking, it's not jittering me around, I'm not rubber banding around, and this bike does a phenomenal job at it. I've ridden plenty of nakeds, and nakeds especially because of how torquey they are and the way they're geared. They rubber band you when you want to just drive around town. So this does an exceptional job with that. I've never had a problem. I've never just felt like something was wrong, like it wants more. Now, absolutely, does this thing like to get it? 100%. But here's a downfall with having a supercharger on this bike. I'm going to give you guys an example. I'm at 4,000 RPMs. I'm going to give it everything it has. So you're going to look at that and be like, okay, that wasn't that slow. Sped up. But in reality, you put this next to an R1, the V4 Street Fighter that we have. The V4 is going to take this in the bottom of sixth any day of the week. This doesn't find its true power until you hit 9,000 RPMs. Now, really, you're asking, does that matter? In a highway scenario, it does. If I'm cruising at 60 and I'm trying to overtake somebody, or I end up in a bad position, and I'm in the bottom of sixth, you're not going to get that power where you need it unless you drop down a few gears, which, you know, so be it, it happens. Right here, I'll be able to give you guys a good example. Now I'm going 40 and sixth, and this thing's happy to do it. Downshifts are so smooth on this. Now with the BT Moto tune that I have on this, my fuel ratio completely dialed in. I'm sitting at a 13:1. On rollers, when it's completely pinned, it's sitting there maybe just a little bit rich, which is the way that I kind of would like to have my stuff at. Only because you run leaner, you start running hotter. These bikes notoriously run hot. So I think another commonly asked question I have on this is cornering. And absolutely, I think you feel the weight in them, but I think as time goes, you get used to riding a bike like this as you would riding a Harley and going through the curves. I'm definitely a lot more limited on this bike turning than I would be on a V4, an R1, an R6, any of those. But it still gets the job done. With how heavy this is, I almost feel more planted. I don't feel like I'm going to fly off the road. I don't think wind's going to take me out. But I think the deepest point that you feel that weight is going to be on your initial kind of turn here. But once it kind of balances itself out when you're at your angle that you want to be at, I feel more comfortable turning on this bike than I have on any other bike, oddly enough, with how heavy it is. It's got huge wide tires on it too. You would want it to be a straight line demon, but you absolutely can hit some curves and have fun doing it. Is it more agile than its competitors? Absolutely not. I've ridden a few of them, and it's a day and night different ride, but I put the ZH2 in a completely different category in itself. It's its own beautiful monster in its own way. And no other naked bike on the market has a beautiful flutter that this does. Not sure if I can get the sound clip from that, but I'll insert one if it doesn't do it. So another thing I want to talk about is cruise control. Luxury I've never been able to have until I had this bike. And I will never go to another bike that doesn't have it. And honestly, same with a quick shifter and auto clipper. This makes road trips way easier. Even when you're just having a bad day at work, you hop on the interstate, you don't have to do anything. Mwah! Chef's kiss to that. Now, the only problem is you want to have cruise control, but you don't want to put your hands on the bar. Well, look right here. Kawasaki thought it was going to be a great idea to not have steering stabilizers on a bike that's putting well over 200 horsepower down. My biggest probably con with this bike would be that. So another thing that I think that this bike could change is there's not auto turning off on your turn signals. I don't know why every company hasn't turned to this. I think that any day that I ride, I can probably spot a handful of people that are riding that have their turn signals still turned on because they forgot that they turned them on. I think it should be a no-brainer. I know it's not a car, but we'll take a right. So I'll show you guys right here, puttering it around. This bike has zero problem going just regular speeds, not Mach 7. The only downfall, and I think oddly enough, is I feel like I use more gas when I'm not using this bike the way that it was intended, and that's getting to point A to point B as fast as possible. But that's what you get with the hyperbike. Here's a little bit of whistle for you. Going 160 into a neighborhood turn. If you're looking for a hyper naked, this is your guy. If you're looking for something to put around downtown, but you want something to show for it, this is your guy. Now, does it have its flaws? Absolutely it does. But all of the pros that this thing carries outweighs any of the things that I'm picking apart on this thing. It's just too fun. It puts a frickin' smile on your face all the time. Just a slight pull like this, I mean, golly. You just can't beat it. There's no other hyper naked that has put a smile on my face like this does. I put 2,000 miles on this bike, and I don't foresee me getting bored of this. this is it. This is the end goal. This is the hyper naked for you. It's the last hurrah before you have all those kids. It's the last hurrah before the old lady tells you, no, this is the bike. This is the bike. This is it. Yeah, it is.